Good morning, everyone. We are gathered here today to join together in harmony to pray for the world's salvation, as well as to show our gratitude for all the blessing we are receiving from God the Parent in our daily lives. I was assigned to give a sermon for this month, so I would like to ask for your kind attention. In June of 2014, we celebrated the 80th anniversary of our mission headquarters in America, here in Los Angeles. At that time, the theme of the anniversary was Nurture the Future. It was decided that we should increase the importance and focus on nurturing our youth for the future of our path here in America and Canada. Time goes very quickly. Next year, in June 2024, we'll be celebrating the 90th anniversary of Mission Headquarters. Please spend some time to think about this. Are we making progress on the theme of nurturing the future? We are in the midst of greeting the 90th anniversary next year in June. Our theme and slogan for this coming anniversary is sharing our joy of faith, and share our joy of faith with our families, friends, and communities. Bishop Fukaya, in last year's October sermon, mentioned the word community, which appears often in our slogan and in our goals for spiritual maturity. We intentionally use the word community to consciously make our activity, which has been inward focused until now, to strengthen our connection with those outside of Tenrikyo. Also, he mentioned that this, however, does not mean that we will neglect our activities for those within Tenrikyo. Sharing a joy of faith to outside communities and sharing a joy of faith to own family are both very important. The balance of focusing on both internal and external, spreading the fragrance, is important for the path here in America and Canada. Since family is a part of the slogan for the 90th, I'd like to share some of my thoughts on how we can share our joy of faith with our families. But first, I'd like to share a little bit of my family history. My grandfather grew up in another religion, but he would enter the Tenrikyo faith through his older sister. My grandfather was a happily married man with 6 children and was running a successful clothing store. However, when my grandfather was 39 years old, his eldest brother passed away unexpectedly. His passing affected my grandfather very deeply, and he was saddened by the thought of his brother's 5 children having to grow up without a father. About that time, his older sister, who married into Tenrikyo Church, was struggling financially, as the church fell in debt. With a very chivalrous spirit, my grandfather helped his sister's church financially, which then became his connection to the path of Tenrikyo. From his desire to improve the causality of the Yukimoto family, which was passed away at a young age, especially the males, and his strong desire to help his sister. My grandfather, at age 40, decided to offer all his savings and all the belongings to his sister's church and uprooted his family to move in there as well. He moved into the church with his wife, who was pregnant at the time, their youngest child, and their other 5 children. My father was 5th child of the family, attended the Tenrikyo middle school. Upon graduation, he was accepted to the medical school in Nara City. Since his parents became Tenrikyo followers to save others, he thought he could help others in the effort as a physician. In his 2nd year in medical school, his father said to him, "I know you want to be a doctor and help people, but I want you to become a Tenrikyo missionary. Being a doctor is one generation, but to follow this path is everlasting. I know that being a doctor, you can also save others, but by following the path, you can help people turn into bad causation into good causation, with the everlasting, which is everlasting." Those were the words my grandfather told my father in conveying his intention in the faith. This conversation between my father and grandfather showed that firmness of my grandfather's faith and his belief in this path. My grandfather knew that by following the teachings, the possibility in our family would change for the better. The parental love of my grandfather had for his children is evident through these actions. Although my father was faced with difficult dilemma, he eventually decided to quit medical school to become a missionary. And he would then go to Hiroshima after the war to do missionary work. And he later was able to establish a church there. In instruction 4, through saving others, you will be saved. If we remain singly focused on working for the salvation of others, our mind will gradually become purified without even realizing it, and will allow us to be saved and be filled with joy and brightness. During the season of the 80th anniversary of Westman in 1961, my father came to the United States as a missionary. Once he was established here in the U.S., the rest of our family, including myself, joined him in 1963. I was 8 years old at the time. I'm older now. Although my father was very passionate about the faith, just like my grandfather, but also realized that there would be some difficulties conveying the teaching to others, including his own children, due to the difference of language and culture in America. He wanted the path to continue, not only to his family, but also other families as well. Growing up, it was at times difficult to grasp the teachings and the concept of godly parenting in our daily lives. There were few resources back then if you wanted to study the Tenrikyo teachings. We learned that teaching through both of our parents in my life. We learned that teaching through my parents through going to different people's homes, like especially elderly people, to do kinoshi, like cleaning their garden, helping cleaning the house, and even singing some Japanese songs to make them happy in missing Japan. We learned that helping others, we bring joy to others. In order to further understand the teachings, my siblings and I were sent to Ojima to study the faith. Some of us attended Tenrikyo High School for 3 years, or attended spiritual development course for students, which is precursor to as seminar. While some of my siblings have worked at the overseas mission department after graduating from college. My younger brother Zen attended a spiritual development course in America 3 summers in a row. At age 16, 17, 18, since the spiritual development course continued over 3 months, my father wanted Zen to attend the course 3 times to learn the teachings. At that time, one of the instructors smiled and said, I can't give the same example during my talk to the class, because Zen's there every year. So it was kind of hard for the instructor at that time, being there 3 years in a row. Although it was difficult at times, I now feel the parental love of my parents guiding us to the path so that we can live a better life, and also it was for our future. Also, growing up in a church, my parents were very strict about doing the daily service and monthly service. He will always say that God the Parent is providing us with food and our healthy body every day. We learn that doing the service is very important, and learn the reason why my parents made an effort to teach us the service. It was for this reason that I was also very strict with my children, including my oldest son, Stephen, who is a new head minister of our church, and continuing to my grandchildren about performing the service. I'm very thankful that my family gathered day before the monthly service, and we always have a wonderful meal together. It's like a family reunion every month for us. Passing down the faith to your own children is like a missionary work. They look at their parents' faith, their action, and their words as to how they follow the faith in our daily lives. Children look upon their parents even though they or we are not perfect, yet they observe our behavior regarding life and faith. In the book of Gradually Spiritually Day by Day, Growing Spiritually Day by Day, he states that it's not easy to attract people to the fragrance of the teachings. In order to accomplish this, we must first make effort to nurture ourselves until we reach the point where people can entirely trust us. Otherwise, it will be impossible to attract them to the fragrance we sprinkle. Another verse from the Shimajira, third Shimajira. First, make a serious effort to nurture ourselves. I believe that it means that each of us need to make a huge effort to grow spiritually and implement the teaching so that people will begin to trust us. This is the first step that we must take in order to promote spiritual growth. The question we must ask ourselves is, does other people trust us, including our own children and family members? In order to grow spiritually mature, we must believe and practice the teaching in our daily lives. To raise the level of our belief in God the Parent and Wesma through our own life experience is vital in following the teachings. It will affect how much we are able to grasp and practice the teaching in our everyday lives. And it will help our life to live more joyously. Also, in the book Spiritually Day by Day, it states that We, the follower of the path, must never forget the spirit of single-heartedness with God. It must be our primary concern at all times. We are required to examine whether the source of all our thoughts and actions is the faith that single-hearted with God. Sometimes we may not give thought to our decision that we make daily. Yet the decision that we make today will affect the children, our grandchildren, and the generation to come. We need to understand the choice that we make and the action that we partake is connected. You are sowing the seed for the future generation. Whether you realize it or not, everything you do counts. The seed that my grandparents, my father planted are helping my brothers and sisters and my own children and grandchildren. I am very grateful for my parents. Even if you do not have children, you are going to live on through the people you influence. Your actions, attitude, what you stand for, and all passed down to someone. We are planting seed every day, whether good seed or not. It is how we live every day that will affect our present and future. By changing our personal habits and temperaments, our mind can grow to become more positive. We can change negative causation and turn it into positive causation for the future generation to come. You can call it generational blessing. It is difficult to compare faith with other people, but we can compare faith with ourselves. The other parents are like mirrors. We can see how much we practice the teaching by reflection upon your own past experience. We are all striving to become a sincere person. In order to further our faith, I believe it's important to know our strength and weakness. What do we do to work on ourselves? Also, it is important to have a vision, to have some kind of vision of your faith, to know what you want to accomplish. This applies to everyone at the church, mission station, family, and individual. With a strong focus on your faith, continue to visualize what kind of faith you want to have, and to work toward it. This will allow the spiritual movement and continuity of your faith or path. In conclusion, we are the season of the 90th anniversary of headquarters in America and the 140th anniversary of Western. As we focus on the theme, sharing the joy of faith, it is important to practice and implement teaching daily. By doing this, we strip away our mental dust and purify our mind. We will begin to earn trust. People's trust and our minds will change toward the intention of God the Parent. The mind of joy will appear in our daily lives, and we will feel the parental love of God the Parent in our hearts. With this joy, Resama will assist us in salvation work and guide people, including our own family members, onto this wonderful path. God the Parent, Resama, is waiting for us to assist in salvation work. I would like to close my sermon by reading a passage from Toshikiyo. People will grow if you nurture them. Unless you nurture them, they will not grow. This truth is not take it to be lightly. Thank you very much.